It's done.
Connor McDavid! It's not real!
The goal of the year?
Panarin!
Part of the past. The celebrations? Forgotten. The history?
Vegas Golden Knights!
History. We're back to a blank slate. Clean ice. All that matters now is what happens next. The Stanley Cup playoffs.
Eastern Conference Final begins Wednesday.
Vatsal Vora. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cricket Corner podcast with me, Vatsal Vora, where at the time of recording this podcast, it's the 20th of March 2024, which means the IPL is 70 matches in, which means that the league phase is now done. All 10 teams have played 14 matches, and we look ahead to the playoffs commencing from tomorrow. The four sides, if you don't know, who have qualified for the playoffs are as follows. Kolkata Knight Riders have finished first with 20 points. Sunrisers Hyderabad are second with 17 points. The Rajasthan Royals have also got 17 points, but due to the virtue of having a lower net run rate compared to the Sunrisers Hyderabad, they are third. And remarkably, the Royal Challengers Bengaluru did beat Chennai Super Kings in that do-or-die game on Saturday evening, and have qualified for the playoffs after a run which saw them lose 6 consecutive matches. They picked up their form, recorded 6 wins on the trot to qualify for the playoffs by beating Chennai Super Kings, the Delhi Capitals, and the Lucknow Super Giants on net run rate, and they have made it through to the playoffs. So the first qualifier of the 2024 Indian Premier League season will be played tomorrow, the 21st of March 2024, between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Sunrisers Hyderabad in Ahmedabad. Now, this was the game which was a precursor to what the fans should expect the Sunrisers Hyderabad to be in this edition's IPL, and that was squashbuckling cricket, all guns blazing, because this was the game, the KKR taking on the Sunrisers Hyderabad, which was the first game the two sides played in this year's edition of the tournament. It was played at the Eden Gardens all the way back on the 23rd of March, and it was KKR who did win by 4 runs on that occasion, but Sunrisers Hyderabad nearly chased down 209 from their quota of 20 overs. It was Henrik Klassen which nearly took the game away from KKR on that occasion. Klassen scoring 63 of 29 balls with no fours but 8 sixes along the way. He was outstanding, but it was, I guess, Harshit Rana who defended close to 11 runs on that occasion, if I am not wrong. He did pick up 3 wickets on that occasion, I do remember that, but it was Harshit Rana who bailed KKR out from that particular game. So yeah, let's start by talking about how Sunrisers Hyderabad have fared out in the league stages. As mentioned before, they have finished second in the standings. They have played 14 matches, won 8 of them, and ended with a points tally of 17. They finished second, level on points with third placed Rajasthan Royals by virtue of having a better net run rate. Sunrisers Hyderabad net run rate was 0.414, while RR had a net run rate of 0.273. So that is quite interesting. Sunrisers Hyderabad had to win their final game against the Punjab Kings, which was yesterday, and they did that by 4 wickets. And it was once again a pretty typical Sunrisers Hyderabad kind of batting display on offer. Punjab Kings gave them a target of 215, and it was once again chased down with 5 balls to go. And it was thanks to Abhishek Sharma's 66 of just 28 deliveries, 5 fours and 6 sixes along the way, playing at a strike rate of 235. Abhishek Sharma and Travis Head up the order have been a revelation as far as the Sunrisers Hyderabad side are concerned. Both of them going hard early in the power play and then taking that power play momentum into the middle overs or towards the latter stages of the innings. Abhishek Sharma once again proving why he is the up and coming future, not only for the Sunrisers Hyderabad but eventually for Team India as well. So if we have to compare Kolkata Knight Riders and the Sunrisers Hyderabad before the playoff match, I think 9 out of 10 people would say that the Sunrisers Hyderabad have a more destructive and a more dangerous batting compared to the KKR side, because they have got so many clean hitters. Travis Head, Abhishek Sharma, there's Nitish Reddy coming in the middle overs, Henrik Klaasen, you cannot forget him, and there's obviously the likes of Shahbaz Ahmed and Abdul Samad coming towards the lower order, I should say. So they have a much more threatening batting unit, and there is no denying that fact. The reason why I feel like this is going to be a much closer game in the first qualifier, and that is because I feel like the Kolkata Knight Riders have a much better bowling unit compared to the Sunrisers Hyderabad. And there is obviously that old cliche in the cricketing world which states that it's the batters who win you games but the bowlers that win you tournaments. And if that cliche saying goes correctly in the favor of the Kolkata Knight Riders, then there is no denying the fact that the KKR side should be expected to qualify for the finals and win the tournament eventually in Chennai next Sunday. But you cannot disregard how well the Sunrisers Hyderabad have played in this edition's IPL. They have scored runs for fun, they have won close matches, they have beaten sides by big margins. One can not forget the game against the Mumbai Indians, which was only their second match, which they won by 31 runs. They scored 277 on that occasion, but they did concede 246 as well. There was obviously that game against the Royal Challengers Bengaluru where they scored 287, but they did concede 262. So you can see that their batting has bailed them out of some tricky run chases, because that bowling is not living up to the expectations. Before the start of the tournament, it felt like Sunrisers Hyderabad do have a very good bowling unit in the form of Pat Cummins, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, T. Natarajan, there's Umran Malik, Jaydev Unadkat and lot, but they have not really given them enough confidence. Whereas a team like KKR, yes, they go heavy and hard early doors, but it's their bowlers which have won them so many games. The likes of Varun Chakravarti have kept things tight in the middle overs. Sunil Narayan bowls in the power play, and even if he doesn't pick up wickets at regular intervals, he keeps things tight, and that creates pressure, up the kind of pressure which the likes of Andre Russell and Varun Chakravarti, Harshit Rana, Vaibhav Arora and Mitchell Stark are able to capitalize on and pick up wickets. So that is how KKR usually come out if they are batting first, and that is something which they have done over the past few matches. They always back themselves to defend that particular total. Now, on the contrary, if the playoff happens on a flat deck and the Sunrisers Hyderabad are batting first and they post that mammoth 220, 230 kind of a total, I feel like that is quite difficult against the Kolkata Knight Riders bowling, because they have probably bowled the best in this edition's IPL. But even if they do, I think KKR have enough batting depth, batting strength to go out there and chase those kind of totals. And I think that is a great segue to talk about KKR and their batting ahead of the playoff match on Tuesday. I think the absence of Phil Salt is probably the most important thing to talk about heading into the playoffs as far as the KKR side are concerned. Phil Salt and Sunil Narayan have given them such a good starts in possibly 70% of the matches, which takes pressure out of the middle order, gives the likes of Venkatesh Iyer or someone like Shreyas Iyer or Raghuvanshi to settle in and play their way into form or into and get set in a way. But Phil Salt, just like every other English cricketer, has returned back to the UK to concentrate on their preparations ahead of the T20 World Cup. They are playing a 4 T20I match series against the Pakistan starting next week. So next week, I should say, coming week, I guess the first T20I is in a couple of days' time. So I think the absence of Phil Salt will hamper their form heading into the playoffs. Now, KKR do have a direct replacement for Salt, and that is in the form of Rahmatullah Gurbaz, the Afghanistan player. Opens the batting, he's quite flamboyant, he keeps wickets, so he's basically the Afghani version of Phil Salt. The reason why I feel like KKR are not well prepared heading into the playoffs is that they have not played a lot of cricket heading into the first qualifier. Their 2 previous matches have all been abundant due to rain. The last time KKR played was all the way back on the 11th of May, so 9 days before the time I'm recording this podcast. It will be 10 days, a 10-day gap since they last played, when they played the playoffs tomorrow. And that was again a 16-over game cut short due to rain. Then that was against the Mumbai Indians. So they have had their game against the Gujarat Titans in Ahmedabad called off, and only yesterday their game against Guwahati in Guwahati against Rajasthan Royals was called off as well. So heading into the playoffs, they have not had the best preparations. I'm sure they would have wanted a game to see how well Rahmatullah Gurbaz partner Sunil Narayan up the order, because apart from that one change, I don't see KKR making any changes whatsoever. I don't think Suyash Sharma is one who would come in, because they have settled in really, really well with their bowling. Mitchell Stark, Vaibhav Arora, Harshit Rana, Andre Russell, and the 2 spinners in the form of Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti have done an exceptional job for them. So I don't see that happening. When it comes down to the playoffs, I think head to head, it is a game between the Sunrisers Hyderabad batting and the Kolkata Knight Riders bowling. Who should prevail? I am personally biased towards the Kolkata Knight Riders, because that is the team I personally support. But if we see things from the outside, regardless of my bias, KKR, despite them not playing their last 2 matches due to rain, are still coming into the playoffs on a better run of form. Before their 2 abundant matches, they were on a run of 4 consecutive wins, 2 of them coming against the Mumbai Indians, and then they also defeated the Delhi Capitals and Lucknow Super Giants. Whereas if you look at Sunrisers Hyderabad, they probably haven't had the best of the forms heading into the playoffs. They have had 3 defeats in the form of Bengaluru and Chennai Super Kings. Then they had a narrow 1-run win over the Rajasthan Royals. Yes, they did again lose to Mumbai Indians, who are at the bottom of the standings. Then they did have a 10-wicket win over the Lucknow Super Giants. But apart from that, and obviously a 4-wicket win yesterday against Punjab Kings. So they have had good wins, but they have seen more defeats towards the latter stages of the league stage compared to a team like KKR, who have had just 3 defeats along the way, whereas they have had 5 defeats. But in the end, when it comes to the playoffs, I think KKR would find themselves in a much better position mentally, because they have that cushion. Even if they lose the game against the Sunrisers Hyderabad, they still have a second chance of qualifying for the final when they eventually face the winner of RR versus RCB, which is happening in 2 days' time. So they will have that peace of mind mentally. Physically, yes, they have not had cricket, but on the contrary, that has given their players some much needed rest heading into the playoffs as well. Yes, they have been traveling all over India. From Ahmedabad, they went to Guwahati. Now they are coming back to Ahmedabad. So yes, traveling is part and parcel of the Indian Premier League. But apart from that, the reason why I feel like they would be in a much better form physically as well is because they've had rest heading into the games of the playoffs. So that could play handy as far as the KKR unit is concerned. KKR have had the perfect league stage campaign. They've rocked up 20 points, net run rate of plus 1.428, which is the highest net run rate in IPL history at the end of the league phase. So personally, I feel like it would be KKR's game to lose, but I won't be surprised if Sunrisers Hyderabad do eventually win the game. If I had to pick a winner, it pains me to say this, but I guess I would go with a team like Sunrisers Hyderabad only because KKR have not played enough cricket. They'll come into the qualifier one with a brand new opening lineup, and I feel like it might hamper their chances to post a huge total or to chase down a huge total. So I would go with a Sunrisers win on that occasion. We'll take a short break, and after the break, we'll talk about the second playoff match, which is an eliminator, which will be played between the Rajasthan Royals and the in-form Royal Challengers Bengaluru. So stay tuned.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Welcome back, and let's move on to the second playoff match, which is an eliminator game between the Rajasthan Royals and the Bengaluru side, the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. So if you are not aware of how the IPL playoffs work, the winner of the first playoff between KKR and SRH would directly qualify for the final. The loser of that particular game will face the winner of the game between the Rajasthan Royals and the Royal Challengers Bengaluru. So if you have qualified first or second, you basically get 2 bites at the cherry for qualifying for the IPL. So if that's out of the way, let's start by talking about RR versus RCB. And I think we have to talk about RCB first because they were down and buried after their first 8 matches. They have just won 1 game. They have lost 7 in total, which includes losing 6 matches on the trot. But they then just picked up their form out of nowhere, winning 6 matches on the bounce, and they have made it through to the eliminator. And they had that wonderful win against the Chennai Super Kings on Saturday evening, if I'm not wrong, where it was virtually a quarter final to qualify for the semi-final. The winner of that game would have leapfrogged into that final 4th place and have made it through to the playoff. The Royal Challengers Bengaluru did have a few permutations combination to look ahead in that game. They had to beat CSK by, I guess it was 18 runs, or if they were chasing, they had to win with 11 balls to spare. They were put into bat by the Chennai Super Kings, who won the toss on that occasion, and RCB posted 218, which meant that CSK didn't even had to chase down 219. They only needed 201 runs, and even if they had lost that game but they had scored 201 runs, they would still have qualified for the playoffs, I should say. Eventually CSK fell 9 runs short. They were bundled out for 191 for 7 from their quota of 20 overs, which meant that RCB out of nowhere qualified for the playoffs. They were on a 6-match winning run, which included victories against the Sunrisers Hyderabad, 2 victories against the Gujarat Titans. Then they defeated the Punjab Kings by 60 runs, a 47-run victory over the Delhi Capitals, and then a 27-run win over the Chennai Super Kings, which have seen them miraculously qualify for the playoffs in 4th position. There were, in the end, 4 teams who finished on 14 points. RCB, CSK, DC and LSG all finishing on 14, but it was RCB who had a much better net run rate. So where do we even start by talking about RCB? Because they have had such a roller coaster of a season. Earlier in the IPL. It felt like their bowling was their weak link, which might cost them a place in the playoffs, and it kind of looked like it was on the way of doing that, but even miraculously they have picked up their form. Yash Dayal has been excellent, Mohammad Siraj has chipped in with wickets, Lockie Ferguson has been good, Glenn Maxwell bowling tight overs when it was needed against Chennai Super Kings. Cameron Green has picked up some form, not only with the ball but with the bat as well. He's chipped in with crucial wickets, scoring timely runs as well. And I think one of the main reasons in the turnaround of RCB's form is the form of Virat Kohli himself. Opening alongside Faf du Plessis started to show some intent. When Virat Kohli used to open earlier in the IPL, it felt like his job was to take things deep and just basically keep one end safe, whilst the likes of Faf du Plessis, Rajat Patidar, Cameron Green, Glenn Maxwell, Dinesh Karthik, Mahipal Lomror, these kind of people go and hit big shots. But I think the switch has flipped completely. It is now Virat Kohli who is taken ascendancy in RCB's matches, like we saw against CSK, didn't we? In that particular game on Saturday, it was Virat Kohli who started off hitting those big shots, 47 of just 29 balls, 3 fours and 4 sixes along the way. So he has been quite integral to how well RCB have played. Not to mention someone like Rajat Patidar's return to form after a disappointing series against England in the test matches. He then comes into the IPL, has some poor matches early on, but then he's picked up some form. Clean hitting has been Rajat Patidar's standout point. Will Jacks was someone who was excellent in the middle order as well, but he's returned to the UK, but that has not hampered RCB's form. Cameron Green has been excellent in over the past couple of matches as well. So RCB have got a lot of things right at the very right moment, and by virtue of some luck, obviously, they have made it through to the playoffs, because they had needed, not only they needed to win their particular matches, but they also would have wanted results to go their way in other matches. Miraculously, I think I've used that word multiple times now, but that thing has happened, and which has seen them qualify for the playoffs. As far as the Rajasthan Royals are concerned, I think they would be very, very disappointed. Yes, they have made it through to the playoffs, but not only did they lose the top 2 spot by virtue of a poorer net run rate, but they are the side who are coming into the playoffs on the back of possibly the worst form out of the 4 sides which have qualified. They have lost their last 4 matches, in the four of the last 5 matches, I should say, because the game against KKR yesterday was abandoned due to rain. So if you look at the last 4 matches in which they have actually played cricket, they have lost all 4 of them. They lost by just 1 run against the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Then they lost by 20 runs against the Delhi Capitals. A 5-wicket defeat to the Chennai Super Kings, and then another 5-wicket defeat to the hands of the Punjab Kings. So they have just completely lost their track. Earlier in the season, when after 9 matches, they had just lost 1 match, and that was against the Gujarat Titans. They won the opening 4 matches, then they had that defeat against Gujarat, then they won another 4 matches, but then they lost 4 matches. So it's basically 4-4-4, winning 4 matches, then losing 1, winning 4 matches, then losing 4 matches, and then that abandoned game at the Eden Gardens yesterday. So yes, they're not coming into the playoffs on the back of some good form. They have obviously lost their opener Joss Butler, so that would be a huge role to fill. It was filled by none other than another Englishman in the form of Collar Cadmore, but he didn't look in place. 18 of just 23. So do RR keep their trust in Collar Cadmore and keep him in that opening slot alongside Yashasvi Jaiswal, who himself hasn't had the best of the IPLs, I should say. Yes, he's had 100, but apart from that, he's not had the best of IPLs this time around. But he will be there. Sanju Samson has had a good IPL, but coming into the playoffs, he's not in the best of the forms himself. Shimron Hetmeyer has been blowing hot and cold. And there's obviously Rahman Powell, who is not performing well in the middle order as well. Their bowling is kind of all right, I should say. Trent Bolt is picking wickets, but he's going for runs. Sandeep Sharma has been their star bowler. But Avesh Khan, yes, he's picking wickets. Chahal is picking wickets. Ashwin is not. So if you look at the bowling, yes, that bowling is kind of in a good place at the moment, but not all bowlers are firing on all cylinders. So that is a kind of worry. Obviously, that batting is a big worry into the game. And solely looking at past form heading into this eliminator, there is no doubt in my mind that it would be the Royal Challengers Bengaluru who would come out on top in this particular match. And RR's misery would just end in the eliminator. At one point in time, they looked like the favourites to win the IPL after the first 9 matches, or at least qualify in the top 2. But now they have not only qualified in the top 2, they are heading into the playoffs with possibly the worst run of form ever seen in this season's IPL, outside of RCB's own form during the early stages of the IPL. So I would put my money on RCB to win this tie. They are coming into the playoffs, into the eliminator on the back of 6 consecutive victories. They will have a lot of adrenaline flowing through their veins. So I personally feel like they'll take advantage of that adrenaline and that rush and see them qualify for the second qualifier, which would be the game between themselves and the loser from KKR versus SRH. So that is my predictions and preview ahead of the playoffs. Just to round things up, I expect SRH to win the first qualifier and qualify for the finals. In the first eliminator, I should say, I expect RCB to beat RR. That means RCB would face KKR in the second qualifier, and I expect KKR to win that. So eventually it would be a KKR versus SRH final, and whoever is the best side on that occasion would claim the victory. Before we wrap things up, let's talk about the orange cap and purple cap situation heading into the playoffs. As things stand, Virat Kohli is at the top of the leaderboard as far as the orange cap is concerned. For those of you who don't know, the orange cap is given at the end of each edition of IPL to the highest run getter. Virat Kohli has 708 runs at the moment from 14 matches. He's averaging 64.36. He's just outstanding. Very few people can catch him right now. Travis Head is at number 2 position. He's had a great IPL, 533 runs for him. Riyan Parag is number 4, 531 runs, just 2 runs short of Travis Head. Ruturaj Gaikwad is number 2, by the way, 583 run season for him, but unfortunately he will not be able to add further runs to that tally. So Virat Kohli looks destined to win yet another orange cap. As far as the purple cap is concerned, a cap given to the highest wicket taker, it is Harshal Patel with 24 wickets. He's had an outstanding IPL this time around, and he's shown why he has been one of IPL's better bowlers over the past couple of seasons. But unfortunately, since the Punjab Kings have not made it through to the playoffs, he will not be able to add any further wickets. So will Jasprit Bumrah. He picked up 20 wickets. He won't be able to add further than that. Arshdeep Singh, 19 wickets. He will also not be able to add to his tally. Someone who would be able to add to their tally is on number 4th position, and that is Varun Chakravarti, who has picked up 18 wickets. So he is currently 6 wickets below Harshal Patel. Let's assume KKR have to play 3 matches to play the final, the qualifier 1, the eliminator and the final. There is a real possibility that Varun Chakravarti can catch Harshal Patel. And T. Natarajan is there as well with 17 wickets. Yuzi Chahal is there with 17 wickets as well. So those are the kind of bowlers who can add to their tally. Harshit Rana of KKR has 16 and Sunil Narayan has 15 as well. So before we round things up, let's quickly look ahead to the final IPL standings at the end of the league phase. KKR have topped the table with 20 points. SRH are second with 17. RR are third with 17 points as well, but have a lower net run rate. Then RCB are 14 points. CSK have 14 as well. DC have 14. LSG have 14, but their net run rate is much poorer compared to RCB. On 8th position, we have the Gujarat Titans with 12 points. 9th position is the Punjab Kings with 8 points. And sadly for all Mumbai Indians fans out there, your team is rock bottom with just 8 points on board, just 4 victories along the way, and a lot of internal and external conflict. But that is a talking point for another video. This podcast was basically me talking about the league stage and looking ahead to the playoffs. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you're liking, sharing and subscribing. Or if you're listening this on YouTube, if you're listening this on Spotify or any other audio centric platforms, make sure you're giving me those 5-star ratings if you think I deserve them. However, for the time being, this is me, Vatsal Vora, signing off. Ciao for now.
Sports Social Podcast Network.